Hey, so today's video is definitely going to be more exciting and fun and fibery than yesterday's video, but I feel like that's an accurate portrayal. I really want this series to be very much, a day in the life for 30 days of, having a small business in your home, even if that business is like a craft-oriented business and something that sounds very fun. And I don't know if glamorous is the right word, because I don't think many people think of like glamorous and the fiber arts necessarily going together, but maybe idyllic might be the better word there. And while having a business that is maybe started out as like a craft or an art or something close to your heart, I could see this being the same thing if you were like a yoga instructor. You still have parts of your business, like yesterday's video, if you're wondering what I'm referring to, the me fighting with the social media scheduler video. And so those are necessary times, but then you also have other times like today where the topic is much more like what you maybe imagined getting into it would be. So today is about Hand-Spun and my Hand-Spun Yarn subscription that I'm going to. I have often mentioned that my business has changed and shifted a lot, but it has also stayed in kind of the same vein of where it started. But one of the main things I can think of is I do still offer Hand-Spun Yarn, which if you've read my book, Feral, you definitely know that that was where I don't know, that's not even exactly where I started. I started out knitting and crocheting things that were more for sale from like vintage patterns, which is where the name Crafty Housewife Yarns had come from and has now been kind of absorbed under the umbrella of Feral Scene, because I wanted to get more into writing and like indie arts in general. And so the Crafty Housewife Yarns is kind of the fiber arts that is umbrellaed under that. But that's where that name had originally come from, was more vintage inspired knitting and crochet patterns and projects, so, it made sense. But I then quickly, and like I said, if you want more on this, it's in my book, Feral, you can look it up, or it's linked in the description. But I got very much into, I want to spin yarn, and I thought that that was like the big light at the end of the tunnel for me, was that my projects would be even more special if the yarn was also kind of one of a kind and handmade. And then that went from making items from handmade yarn to selling the actual hand-spun yarn. And like I said, I've covered this topic a good bit, but that was the dream that started it all. Was I thought if I could have a more designer-looking website that could bring kind of artisanal hand-spun yarn to the internet, that was my original dream and goal, which I started out, on 8-9 years ago, researching how to do that in the best way that I could. And it's been such a fun journey kind of from one end to the other. But long story short, I went from selling one-of-a-kind hand-spun yarn to I transitioned into doing product lines. That's the word I'm looking for. So I had kind of seasonal product lines of hand-spun yarn where I was designing yarn, kind of the idea of the yarn, and then executing it, not in huge bulk, but, in enough bulk that I could then launch the collection for people to then purchase from directly for those hand-spun yarns. And that was my big business plan, and that was a big turning point in my business plan, was the product lines, which there is a part in the end of my book that talks more about product lines, and I will definitely be getting more into that on here. But if you want it written down, where you can find it, it's in the, like I said, the back half, more the brass tacks section of my book, which is free currently if you have Kindle Unlimited, or you can just get the paperback. It's on Amazon. But I have slowly, and I never thought I would leave the product lines aspect, but I've slowly kept the product lines, but I've evolved a lot into subscription. Outside of Spinlution, my work with Spinlution and education on the fiber arts for how-to, and now indie business stuff, what I'm probably most known for are my small batch fiber art subscriptions, which involve both yarn and spinning fiber. So you can go see those on my website. I've got a bunch of different ones, and they're all my babies, and I love them. But what I've mainly found a home for my personal desire to bring hand-spun yarn to the internet has definitely gone from me launching product lines of hand-spun yarn to doing monthly releases and themes for my subscriptions. And that has really given me the momentum and kind of got like, you know, the rubber on the road was when I got into doing the fiber art subscriptions. Definitely not saying that has to be the path for everybody, but that most filled the void that I guess I personally creatively was looking for, and I really enjoyed doing it. So what I was working on today was the Hand-Spun Yarn subscription, which we do actually have. You wouldn't think there'd be that many subscribers. We do actually have a very loyal following of subscribers, and it always bumps up around the holidays, which is always fun, for Hand-Spun Yarn. My mom, who is a yarn spinner, as well as a couple other talented spinners that I work with, are primarily the spinners month to month for these yarns, and we really enjoy, we kind of have everything from like single plies, natural fibers to what you'll see today. I like to get in, and that's where I get to do kind of the, I think myself as like a guest star appearance in my own yarn subscription. And I always like, because mom does a lot of the more like natural sort of things, and, you know, we get more colorful chain ply sort of things from other spinners. I really enjoy doing like thread ply or like crazy chunky 2-ply. And so that has been a really fun way that I've gotten to use kind of what was my original dream going into the fiber arts. And it's fun to see that it's found home in the little niche of this hand-spun yarn subscription. All right, what am I working on right now? I am actually doing one of the more fun parts of running a fiber arts business, which is, as you could guess, spinning yarn. And while I did start out that spinning yarn was a very, very, very big part of what I did when I used to wholesale more in shops, the yarn spinning is actually primarily handled by my mom and another spinner, with me as sort of a guest spinner occasionally, and they usually go out for the Hand-Spun Yarn subscription. So that is where, instead of doing like standalone collections of hand-spun yarn, the subscription for the Hand-Spun Yarn subscription is kind of where we're at. And I'm really loving this. It is Shanico wool, so let me get a better shot. The Shanico wool I've really fallen in love with. I've already talked about it in the past. It's super soft. It's a combination of USA, Rambouillet, and Merino. It is gone through a lot of, it has to meet a lot of high standards as far as ethical, you know, wool raising practices, and, you know, then just quality of wool. And I get this from a mill in North Carolina, and it's super soft. So we've had a lot of our Braid Club braids here lately. For my subscriptions have been Shanico wool, so I stole this one for me. And I love how you can see, like, there's a good bit of white left in this. So, like, this braid may not have looked that exciting by itself, but I really love, like, this muted, and like I said, I'm not done plying it and stuff. It's just where I'm at, but I really love this kind of, like, stained popsicle look. And then this little spinning wheel, if you were wondering what it is the Spin Perfect Abe, which I need to, I think next time Mom's here, I think we're going to stain it, because this one didn't come finished, because it's the DIY wheel. I think I'm going to do it black, so it's kind of like a gray where you can still see the wood grain through it, but then it'll look cool with the, you know, the flyer head, which I've got 2 different size flyer heads, and then the little pedals. I think it'll be really cute. But it is a small little wheel. There's like an roundabout about it. And that's what I'm working on currently. So I will show you the rest of my supplies later. So like I said, I don't get to do this part as much as I used to, but I definitely, it's always exciting. Like I said, the kids are out of the house, and so instead of other people making yarns, I'm getting to make a yarn. So I'm definitely still keeping my hands in the process that way, even though it's for subscriptions. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so pretty. So I've got the single ply you just saw, got this really cool like gold tinsel thread situation, and I am working, look at that, it's so cool. We're going to do a thread ply with gold tinsel, and you can see the reason I love all these Spinolution wheels is this big hook. It makes, you know, doing cool stuff like this really easy and possible. This Abe also has a built-in Lazy Kate on the side, which I really love the side Lazy Kate design, and it's nice because you don't have to buy an extra. So, wrapping this up, I guess the takeaway lesson I would want you to get from this is that whatever your original dream and goal is, I mean, I may be totally wrong, but from what I've seen, you got to give yourself space to really evolve with that. And it may not be where you started, may not end up being what works best for you, what fits best for your business on whatever scale you want to be on, and giving yourself the flexibility to really maneuver that from one thing. Like, you know, like I said, I've moved my dream of selling hand spun yarn from like one area to another. And so that's bringing me happiness, like a creative outlet every month, while making me money, and also putting money in, you know, the hands of the other spinners who are spinning for this subscription. So if you would like to know more, if you're like, I need hand-spun yarn in my life, please go check out my website. It's feralsane.com. You will very easily at the top find the subscriptions button. I have lots of different subscriptions, so whether you are a spinner or you are a yarn lover and you want either indie dyed or hand-spun yarn, like what I've been talking about in this video, you can definitely find it there. You can try it out, you can cancel it and restart over and over again as much as you want. So it's really easy, and but the subscription base helps us plan for it. So enjoy.